Hi my friends, it is an absolutely gorgeous day today. It's about 45 degrees and it's the first day it's been this warm all winter. Snow's all melted, the ground is fairly dry, so I decided today I would do a nice farm cleanup and take you along with me on all the exciting work I have to do today. And actually it's so warm out that I think I'm gonna lose the coat today because I'm actually kind of a little dewy. So I know in a video in the past we did, Rich and I were out here cutting the floor with the cultivator that we modified with the edger blade. And we only do that maybe once every 3 months or so when, let's say, the floor gets high enough with manure and hay that we can't move gates and stuff. But on a regular routine, once a week, usually on a Tuesday, I will just scrape up all the loose manure and hay off the floor, and there's 3 sections to the barn. And just kind of scrape it up into a pile, and then I'll take this and dump it into the tractor bucket, and then I'll load that over onto the manure pile. And it's usually about 8 loads to get the whole barn cleared up of the loose stuff. And I like to do it for a couple reasons. Number one, I think it's just good hygiene for the sheep to have a clean barn, a clean floor. It's also, if it builds up, it gets really dusty. And so equipment like the fans and stuff like that, they tend to degrade faster. It gets dirtier in the barn, which, I don't like that very much. So I try to do it once a week. And so I'm just gonna finish this up. This is the last of it. So just gonna load this up into the tractor. So we've tried a lot of different shovels and stuff in the past to do this job. And it turns out the snow shovel is what works the best because the manure is all really loose. It's not like it's big, solid plops or anything. So this works great for scraping and for scooping it up. And the other thing, I always wear my orthotic shoes. So I have proper work boots, but they don't have the insert for my feet. And because this job takes an hour or more, it does bother my feet a little bit, so that's why I'm not wearing my muck boots. So this is what the manure looks like, and it's really just like firm, dry pellets, and it doesn't really have much of an odor. There's not a lot of moisture there. So that's why using the scoop is the best for cleaning out the floor of the barn. So last year was the first year I used some composted manure in my garden, and the results were spectacular. I had a bumper crop of butternut squash, like just crates of them out of I think I only put down like 6 plants. So the corn was awesome. My tomatoes really flourished. So I attribute it to the composted manure, because in prior years I hadn't used it and did not have that kind of outcome with my garden. So when I dump the manure on the pile over there, there's the fresh side and then there's the composted side. And whenever I use the manure for the garden, I'll take it off the composted side, as well as when people come, because I sell my manure, when they come to purchase it, I'll load it from that side. And because it's the older, more composted, doesn't have as much acidity to affect your plants. All right, so I just wanted to show you, this is the side of the pile that's the fresh manure. It's really dry, it hasn't had a chance to really age or compost. And yeah, why am I wearing ski goggles when it's so beautiful out and there's no snow and I'm obviously not skiing? I actually reuse those for when I dump the fresh manure. It's really dusty and it gets in my eyes and stuff, so it kind of bothers me. Plus that it's a good protection from the sun because these are UV rated. So, you know, I have them, so I figured I might as well use them, even though I probably look a little unusual. So this is the older side, and you can actually see these little, I call them poop brownies, from when we cut the floor and pry them up with the pitchfork. And this is pretty composted, yeah. Oh yeah. So this is nicely composted. You can see it's got that nice dark color and it now has a smell, whereas the fresh stuff really is pretty much odorless. I can't resist smelling stuff, so yeah, I mean, I don't find that offensive at all. It's just, it smells like if grass goes rotten or, you know, whatever. So anyway, so this is great. And actually I kind of like these little plates of manure because they work great for like placing around plants, kind of like a time release. And then by the end of the year, they're loose enough and crumbly enough that they just kind of, you can just work them into the ground. So yeah, there's the poop. But this pile is, I'm not really sure what to do with this because there's quite a lot of hay and dirt, because what this is when I, in the spring, when I can get back into the ram pen, there's a mound where I feed them all winter, and it's just built up hay and poo and stuff, and so I like to scrape that down. Otherwise they're gonna be like level with the top of the fence eventually, so we try to scrape it down by the fence so that there's a safe height, like Rich talked about last week. He likes it to be about 4 feet from the ground to the top of the fence. So that's what this is. It's probably adequate for composted manure. My only concern is I just feel like there's a lot more vegetation in here and actual, you know, like grass and stuff. But yeah, so that's what that is. I'll probably use this if I don't sell it, like for fill or something like that eventually. Okay, so that's the clip that I used to fix the bucket onto the wall. And then there's an electric cord on the bottom of the bucket, and that just heats the bucket ever so slightly to prevent them from icing up, because the sheep can't drink it if it's icy. It also keeps it at a good temperature. I don't want the water to be super cold because they won't drink it. So what we've done is we have electric in the barn, and we just have the electric buckets, and they come with these cords. Just attach it to the extension cord, which we then run over to the outlet. You're not eating the minerals. She's not as much of a piggy about it. You're so dainty. It's packed in there and you can't get at it, right? One of the things I like to do, this is our mineral feeder, so we keep this full. This is actually filled with the minerals, that's free choice loose mineral that they get. And it's just a part of, I think Rich talked about this in the feed section. It's just good nutrition for them to have free choice access to the minerals. And it's just a loose mineral. But what happens is, after a while, and they've worked at it, it gets kind of packed in there just from their saliva and stuff. So once a day or so, I'll use the crook and I'll just poke it in there and kind of loosen it up, and you can, maybe you can see, maybe not, that the loose mineral that's in the feeder right now is now working its way down because of this. So that it's easier for them to get more of that delicious loose mineral. Right, girls? Beside hay, in the winter, we will supplement the sheep's diet with grain. And like I said, they go through maybe 3/4 of a bag every day. So I'm down to 1 bag. And I like when the day is nice like this and the weather is fine, I like to stock up on the bags here in the barn. We store them in the garage in the house. Again, I get them by the skid load, so it's a lot and it takes up a lot of space. So I'll usually bring just a few in here for me for when I do the chores at night to feed the sheep. And also I store the mineral, so I like to have 1 bag of minerals here so that if I need to have access to it, it's just really not fun to drag these feed bags down here when it's pouring rain, or if we're in the middle of a blizzard and there's 3 feet of snow or whatever. So like I said, when the weather's fine, that's when I'll try to bring the grain bags down from the storage area in the garage. to get the tractor bucket maybe like 2 feet away from the garage door where we store the grain, just because it makes it really easy for me to dump it in here. So I should be able to get, I don't know, 4 bags of grain and 1 bag of minerals. So I'm going to do that now. All right, so that's strenuous work. That was 50-pound bags, lifting and putting in the bucket. And I've gotten a couple comments about how this hard work on a woman's body can lead to injury, which is correct. So that's why one part of the farm life I don't really talk about too much is I do have a very regular exercise routine that I engage in, where I'll do weights and squats and really work to build my core, work my abs. Twice a week I do that, and then I do a hour of cardio on the elliptical for to keep me from getting out of breath. And the only reason I do that is not for a weight loss. You know, I don't really have any fitness goals other than I want to keep myself in good shape so that I can do this kind of work because I love it. And you know, it's all part of that gift of being able to take care of these beautiful animals. If I couldn't do this, I wouldn't be able to take care of the animals, and that's really important to me. So I just wanted to kind of talk about that because I do make sure that my back is strong and that my abs are, you know, able to control and manage all the movement I do. And you know, I do use the equipment whenever possible so that I'm not straining my body, but that is a part of the life on the farm, is making sure that I'm fit, strong, and able to keep up with the work. Another thing, even just how I've got the tractor bucket set up here, it's at a height that I'm not using my back. I can just unload the grain. So lifting it and carrying it is strenuous, but also that, you know, unloading part on the body. And so making sure the bucket's at the right level for all of the aspects, even when I'm cleaning out the barn, is part of that, you know, maintaining my, you know, body health and the strength of my body. So we're on the east side of the barn, which is this section here we have dedicated for storage. So it cuts into living space, which cuts into the number of sheep that we can maintain in our flock, but we just needed some interior space for tools and feed and other clobber. So I'm going to unload to here. This is where the grain is going to go, and this is where the minerals are going to go. Good rugged bags, can hold up to a lot of abuse. Perfect for shopping bags. Oh! Last one. There. So my Tuesday's chores are done now. I got the barn clean, the water switched out. I got enough grain and minerals to last for a few days through the rain. What else did I get done? Got all the waters refreshed, recleaned. So ready for the week. And of course, after it's all done, they gotta come in and check it out, make sure I did it correctly. Adelina and Lucy. Did I do okay? Does it look all right? This is another reason for why I want a strong back and good core, so I can pick up my babies and give them their loving, right? And this is Lucy, if you're not used to seeing her not jumping on me. Being a good girl, just hit some minerals. So I wanted to show you how I'm managing to get a really good internet signal in the barn. So over here, I'm on the south side of the house, southeast corner of the house, and the barn's right there. And there's a sliding glass door. There's the deck fencing, which has got holes in it, so it doesn't really matter. And then the wood barn. And the Wi-Fi signal works out in the barn and does not work other times. So it's very intermittent, and it's also not a good signal. So I learned that I had a problem with that when I first tried to do a Facebook live feed, and it just kept on cutting out. So I went ahead and I bought this system. It's a company's called Netgear. And the system that I bought, it's called the Powerline Wi-Fi 1000 model. Number is PLW1000V2. So what this does is it works through our power lines, the copper, oh, the cat's seeing the reflection. The copper of the power lines is how the Wi-Fi signal is transmitted. And because the barn is on the same meter as the house, we're sharing the same power, that's why this works. So that is one of the requirements for this to work if you're a rural person with a power source in your barn. So what it does, you got to plug it into the wall, which is why I kind of have this funky setup here. where it's not really plugged in 100% flush against the socket. That's just because my power cord has got this weird thing on it. But at any rate, so it plugs in one part of it, and then there's an Ethernet cable that connects into my router. So like we just got a high-speed internet through our cable provider. They just laid the cable down. And so I'm able, like I said, to be able to connect this Netgear system to my router, and then this I plug into the power outlet in the barn. And then I connect, this comes up as a Wi-Fi source on my cell phone, which is usually what I'm using when I'm out there. So I just want to show you real quickly, I'm going to do a speed test, which is just an app that you can use to check your signal. And they say that you need 10 mega Mbps, that's the unit of measurement. Here's my signal here in the house. This is what I'm getting. I'm getting 24.3 download and 11.6 upload, and that's just from using the router. That's not using the Netgear. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go out in the barn. I'm going to plug in the Netgear, and I'm going to show you the signal that I'm getting because of the Netgear system. So I have the Netgear transmitter connected to my router at the house that gives me my high-speed internet signal in the house. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug this receiver / transmitter into my electrical outlet, again on the same meter as what's in my house. Plugging that in. There's an on-off switch on the side, which is already set to on, and the power indicator is showing on with a green light. And then eventually here there's going to be a blue light on the Wi-Fi signal showing me that the Wi-Fi is engaging. It's windy today, so that might impact this a little. Let's see. There. So, okay, it's starting. The one thing I can show you is, if you see my Wi-Fi signal out here, you know, of that little diamond, or not diamond, but wedge shape icon, I'm only the very bottom shaded. Ideally what I need to be able to do live feeds and stuff is that has to be fully filled in. Now it just went off. Okay, so the blue light went on my Netgear kit. So then what I have to do, because the signal is now active, is I have to connect it. I have to connect my phone to the Wi-Fi signal. So I'm going to go to the network and internet settings, and then I'm going to click on Wi-Fi. So right now it's telling me that there's no signal with my Spectrum, which is my connection in the house. So I'm trying to get the Netgear to show up. And there it is, the Netgear showed up, and I am now showing that I'm connected automatically because I did all the setup already. There it goes, okay. So the Netgear's connected, and I'm connected to the 5 gig, which is the one that gives, that's why my Facebook feeds now have so much more clarity. My understanding is I have to have a high-speed internet connection for those cameras to work as well. So this will actually end up being out here permanently during lambing and any other time that we want to be able to use the cameras to monitor the barn. The first time I had to set up the signal, the Wi-Fi code, I had to use whatever, there's a code printed on the label that you type in, that's the address, right? So now what I want to do is I want to show you the Wi-Fi speed test out here. So it's 24.3 in the house for download. I'm not going to worry about the upload. 24.3 is what I'm getting in the house. So it's going to land around 15 for download. So it's a little bit degraded, but it's still excellent for what I need. Inhaled a little bit of dirt. What I need for out here in the barn. So I just thought I'd show you that in case anybody's trying to get a Wi-Fi signal in their barn and they've been sort of struggling. This is fantastic. It works really well, simple. And then when I'm done with it, I just turn it off, unplug it, and bring it back in the house. And the reason I do that is because it has these vents on the top and the side and the bottom, and it is very dirty in here, especially when it's windy. And I do worry about, you know, having the dirt get in there and affect its ability to perform. So yeah, one step forward to the 1990s. When I recorded this unboxing, I didn't know that I didn't have my microphone set up correctly. So I'm just gonna sort of narrate what's going on here. So I'm unboxing my Reolink camera system. It's a Wi-Fi system, and we actually went with the NVR, which is the network video recorder, which is that box I just pulled out. So we ordered 3 wireless indoor cameras, which have the pan, tilt, and the zoom, and then 1 outdoor camera, which is the one in the black box that I just lifted up. And then the NVR is in that box with the handle. So the NVR is what we're going to connect to the television so that we can watch all 4 cameras on the TV, and it also has a recording feature. So it'll record 24/7 and we can access that playback footage. I believe it's 2 terabytes of data. And that connects to the router with an Ethernet cable, and it connects to the television with an HDMI cable. The cameras themselves have power adapters. So I have electricity in the barn, so I'm plugging my cameras in. Right now that's the outside camera I'm opening. So they all come with mounting brackets and screws, and there's the manual, which isn't really very good. There's the camera. And it has a USB cable coming out of it, which you then plug into the adapter, which plugs into the electrical socket. And that's just the mounting kit. I don't remember the price for each individual unit, but I know for the full system it came out to around $450. The NVR has got 4 additional ports on it, so I could add 4 cameras later on if I want. And one thing I didn't record was setting up the cameras. You have to download the Reolink app, which I downloaded onto my cell phone. I also downloaded it onto my laptop, and the interesting thing is that the interfaces are very different, and I can do certain things that figured out anyways on my laptop and other things that I figured out on the phone. But I definitely used the phone for this setup. Alright, so the Netgear Wi-Fi extender is on. Blue light. And I can see my signal on my phone. It'll say Netgear on it. So there's camera 1. So there's a little plate you install with 2 screws, and then you just thread the camera onto the plate, the mounting plate. And then there's a power adapter with a USB connection, which we can plug into an extension cord. The Netgear has got to go into a socket. It cannot go into any kind of a power strip or anything like that for it to work. So that's that camera. That's the camera that's in the center of the barn. And this is the camera in the West Wing, we call it. And that camera is going to allow us to see the whole barn floor We usually try to angle it so we can see up 3 feet. And this camera here is the one that we can use. We can rotate that, and that allows us access to this room, which is on the east side of the barn. Not as critical for being able to see the sheep, because this is where all the yearlings are. There's not going to be any bred ewes in here. So this camera is going to give us access to the center portion of the barn, which is where the bred ewes stay at night when we're watching them. This is the area where the bred ewes stay. So we'll shut that gate there, and any ewes with lambs will be over on the west side of the barn, and it's good to have cameras there just in case anything happens. We can watch it and keep track. And then last night we installed this camera, which is installed right there at the very edge of the roof of the barn, because that's how we were able to access the power. And that gives us the ability to view this entire south side of the barn. So that camera is going to give us access and visibility to this entire side of the barn, which, as you can see, we can't see it from the house. It's the south side, and so that'll be good, because we have had ewes go into labor out here, and we just prefer that they don't do that. The outdoor camera is rated for outdoor. It doesn't have the pan tilt zoom feature. The cameras inside, and I'll show you this on my laptop, have a feature where you can move them and zoom, which is awesome. It's morning time and the girls are eating their breakfast. The NVR comes with a port, USB port, so you can use a mouse. So we put a wireless mouse set up with it, and we are actually able to modify the settings, switch from one camera to another, and use the pan zoom tilt feature, and some of the other functionality. So you can just sit here and watch it like it's a show, and this is kind of like our remote. So this is the center of the barn, and I left my shepherd's crook right in front of the camera, which I have to make a note not to do that again. So first thing I'm going to show you is how we change from one camera to the other. So I told you we've got 3 cameras in the barn. So there's these little buttons down here in the lower right corner, and you just click those and it takes you from one camera to the other. That's the outside camera. It's not working yet, I don't think. So that's the center camera. And then the pan tilt zoom feature, what we did was we created presets. So you can do the tilting, but you can also program in sections of the barn that you want to make sure you can see. So like here we've got a button set up for the south side of the barn in the center, and it will automatically take us there, so you don't have to fiddle around with the controls, which is pretty cool, because there is a definite lag as you're working the controls. And there's strategic parts of the barn we wanted to make sure we could see, like the water buckets in the corners. The corners are important, and that corner right there with the purple bucket, that's where most of the lambing takes place for some reason. We still haven't figured that out yet, but so it's pretty cool. So that's the television interface. Again, that's only available because we went ahead and purchased the NVR, which hooks up to the TV. The other feature is the zoom. So this is pretty cool. So if we're watching a ewe and just want to really, see maybe if there's any fluids coming out of her or anything that indicate that she's, in the early stages of labor, this is a great way to be able to look at that. So it allows you to zoom in, and then you can also grab the screen and kind of move it around, shift it from one spot to the other. The picture quality is really good. I mean, obviously when you're zooming it pixelates a little bit, but it's 1080 HD, so really good quality. The other thing that we did, we installed them kind of upside down, but there is a option where you can flip the images. So even if you can install them in any direction and you can still have a good quality picture. And what this is the outdoor camera. So this doesn't have the pan, tilt, zoom. So if we want to make any adjustments here, we have to actually go out and physically adjust the camera.
Alright, I was trying to show how this works by doing a screen capture, but for whatever reason I can't get that to work today. But I want to show you the laptop interface, what that looks like. It looks quite different from the television. I've already launched the app, so I had to download this app from the Google Play Store. And this is a Windows system, so it's no big deal. So the way it works is, over here in the corner, there's the 4 cameras, and I can click on each one and it toggles me from one camera to the next. So I'm going to click on camera 1 here, that gets me into the barn. 2 is the other view, 3rd view, and the outdoor. And you can see here on this NVR I have the option to add 4 more cameras at some point. So let's just say perhaps I want to get a put a camera over top of this stall, for example, which sometimes that would be handy to be able to actually put a U in there and really be able to monitor. There's this little icon of a moving person. That's just if there's any movement on the screen, the camera picks it up as an alert. We don't really need that feature. That's more for security and stuff. And then there's all sorts of setup. You can set up each camera in the system. So you just pick the camera that you want to work on. And this is where you can do that flip option. So like I said, we've got our cameras installed kind of upside down, so we had to find this, figure that out. That took a little bit of time. A lot of features still to figure out. I still want to understand, I don't know how to use the playback, how to get the data back, how to download it. Because I would imagine it'd be fun to create some videos of the sheep interacting with each other without us being there to influence their behavior, which is always really fun to watch. So yeah, I just wanted to share that with you. I mean, this is really huge. This is a big deal for us as far as confidence during lambing season. We're ready now, April 15th. Bring it on. I mean, the possibilities here are so much better now that we've got this system set up.